look at some of the teams to keep a watch on. The squad from Father John Redmond in Etobicoke. They were the Toronto District Catholic Association regional champions, thanks to a 32-point performance. Also, École Secondaire Catholique Terrios out of Timmins. They won the NEOAA title. They were the only team in that competition, but they were also the top finishing team at the novice level last year. And in the NEOAA ranks, they picked up just 12 points thanks to their athletes finishing 1, 2, 4, and 5. Becca Prebaz from Northern Secondary School in Toronto was the novice champion a year ago. She'll be looking to make it 2 in a row here. Kate Nagy from Newmarket High School finished second to Prebaz last year. She was the York Region champion this year. And Micah Carswell out of Père René de Galinay in Cambridge. She was the bronze medalist in the novice race last year and is the SWASA champion already this year. She also picked up a bronze medal on the track in the 1,500 meters back at the OFSAA Track and Field Championships back in June.
Well, Adam, speaking of those track and field championships, Nagy has a couple of medals to her name, having won silver in the 1,500 meter and gold in the 3,000 meter in the novice category last spring. So again, lots of good range within these athletes, mid-distance standouts on the track, and now looking to prove themselves on the cross-country course, and in some cases repeat that title from last year.
289 athletes scheduled to start this junior girls final.
And this is lining up to be a really good showdown. Again, those top three from last year all returning: Prebaz, Nagy, Carswell from the novice girls 4K race in 2023. We talked about this with the novice races today, that this is the first time many of these athletes have had an opportunity to race each other head to head. Well, not so as we move through the age categories. These runners will have had some experience at this point with knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses and putting all of that information to good use here in Ottawa in 2024.
And we are underway in race 4 of 7 here at the 2024 OFSAA Cross Country Championships. And so far today, Kay, we've seen athletes get out, or one athlete, I should say, get out to a pretty substantial early lead. In 2 of the 3 previous races, that athlete has hung on for the win. In the para race, we saw a great final lap that resulted in a win, which was taken by Anthony Segan, who makes it 3 in a row at the OFSAA Track and Field Championships.
Well, lots of different tactics being employed. Again, you can see the rain coming down and the weather starting to turn here as the course gets chewed up. And our early leader now is Olivia Downey. That's a tall athlete up front, and she is just powering up this hill. She was 17th last year in the novice category, and looks like she's on a mission to improve that performance from last year substantially. So what a dominant early lead here.
Good hard charge on that early hill from Downey.
So Olivia Downey, 17th last year in a time of 15:15 in the novice 4,000 meter race. And she is not messing around here as they come up that hill and then down the other side. So again, fast off the start, and then you have to sort of pace yourself up that hill, but then you get all this advantage on the other side downhill. Adam, you mentioned that this was the host site of last year's Canadian Cross Country Championships. Of course, these junior runners now in predominantly grade 10 may not have had a opportunity to compete at those Canadian championships. But again, trying to sort of figure out where to go here over those hay bales, which we didn't see with the novice girls race. And the hay bales are becoming a bit of a more common obstacle that race directors are putting out, especially on relatively flat courses. So it is Downey continuing to lead up front, but she's got some good company, Adam, behind her.
Downey was the LOSA regional champion. Won that race a time of 18:52.73.
And that is Kate Nagy currently sitting in second. So again, was second in the cross country championships last year as a novice at OFSAA, has a couple of strong performances from the OFSAA track championships in the spring, and sort of biding her time behind our early leader here.
Nagy out of Newmarket High School in the York region. And Kate, this is certainly the closest race we have seen so far today.
So that's Charest now, Charest I should say, in the burgundy kit on the left side of screen. Charest was 5th last year, Kiana, in the novice girls race, and it is a true breakaway pack of 3 now. So Downey continuing to lead, Charest giving chase, and then Kate Nagy in the mix. And this is more or less what we might have expected, Adam, at this point in the first lap.
Terrain holding up okay right now, it seems, as there is some mud, but it doesn't look to be too sticky as of yet, but that could certainly change as the rain has moved in to the Ottawa area.
So these girls will do well to work together through this opening lap. Again, this is a kilometer further than what they ran last year. They have some familiarity with this distance, having done it all season, but I always say in the first half of a cross-country race, the more company you can keep, the better it is. There's a lot of sort of shared mutual energy that can happen over this first lap. And to your point, Adam, you know, as the course continues to get eaten up, a little bit harder to maintain contact with the ground, the more that you can work with the fellow athletes and have to kind of turn your brain off. You don't have to, you don't want to have to overthink this. There will come a point, I'm sure, where we'll see some separation, but right now, those 3 continuing to work together. Downey looks like she's just trying to pull away from the other athletes behind her. We've talked a lot about sort of front running versus sitting and wait, but this looks to be another case like we saw with Chan Smith and the novice boys, where one runner is really trying to create some separation between the other athletes.
A little bit of movement at the front, but it is still Downey who has the slight edge. Downey picked up the bronze medal in June at the OFSAA Track and Field Championships in the 2,000-meter steeplechase.
Adam, we should mention that that's especially impressive because she was a novice athlete at the time, and of course, the steeplechase is an open race, meaning that you're contesting runners of every grade level. So for her to be a podium finisher as a grade 9 is very, very impressive. And again, each of these have tremendous pedigree. Up front, Kiana Charest was a silver medalist in the 3,000 meter, gold medalist in the 1,500. So she and Kate Nagy have gone head to head several times with sort of varying results between the two, but always strong performances. This is setting up to be a really thrilling race. The other thing is each of these girls know that there is a strong kick sitting amongst any of them at any given time. So I think that's why you're seeing the pace going out pretty hot, because no one's wanting to leave it to a kick finish. They all know that they have the wheels to sort of push each other in those closing meters.
Well, Downey was also a finalist in the U16 800 meters at the OFSAA Championships. She finished 7th in that race. So, yes, just speaks to the fact that she does have some speed, because the 800 meters certainly aren't going to thrive in that event if you don't have a good sprint finish. And Downey, good showing on that hill, powering up it. As we do have our first splits, you can see on the left side of your screen. It's Downey, Charest, and Nagy, all within a second of each other. And then in the chase group, Adieu Chan, Rebecca Prebaz, they're within a second of each other. And then Alexis Elkins was sort of running on her own for 6th place at that opening split. She was through in 7:10.6, and then you got to go back to Micah Carswell in 7th, but she was 7:22.1. Well,
Adam, our early leader, Downey, is now finding herself in 3rd, and it's a battle between the two who, as I mentioned, have gone head to head on the track several times. So this is going to be a really fascinating second lap or second half of this race, I should say, here in the junior girls 5K, because between Nagy and Charest, they have both beaten each other over the last 6 months several times in different disciplines, and they are shoulder to shoulder right now. A little check back, but Downey seems to be dropped from that lead pack.
Downey running on her own right now. Nagy looking to move up one spot on the podium from last year. She was the silver medalist in the novice race a year ago.
Let's go, Glee! Go, 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 go! Let's go, Glee! Go, go, go! Last lap!
So Adam, again, they are shoulder to shoulder, and this is a course that, as you mentioned, is becoming a little bit more beaten up as they go, but pretty solid conditions right now. And the cross country is a familiar friend to Terrio's Charest, not just a strong competitor on the cross-country running course, but she's also a formidable Nordic skier. So she's going to be using a lot of speed, endurance, and cross-country capabilities to her advantage out here today.
Charest in the dark red top, Nagy in the purple. Charest from Terrio up in Timmins, Nagy from Newmarket.
Keep going, you got this.
Nagy edging ahead of Charest on this sandy, muddy terrain combination right now.
We're top of the hill right now. Are we trying to go to the opposite?
So you can see on the athletic course tracker on the beach portion of this course. I'm going to move off that momentarily, get onto a little more grass buried under that mud. It was a trio leading this race at the opening 1.9K split. It's Olivia Downey, Kiana Charest, and Kate Nagy. Downey has been dropped. Charest and Nagy duking it out right now. Charest with the inside, but Nagy pulls ahead. Will this battle go all the way down to the line? We'll have to wait and see.
This is really interesting, Adam, because when we're on the track and there's 5 or 6 athletes, sometimes more, contesting for that inside lane. Of course, the inside lane of a track is the fastest, shortest distance around. We're seeing that a little bit here. You're still, having to contest with these tight turns. We often call it musical chairs, where one athlete will move out to the front, go past everyone, take the lead, and then it slows down, and that kind of repeats itself. This is a 2-girl race at this point, and we're still seeing that play out, where they're kind of lead changing back and forth, no one really trying to pick it up, although I would say at this point, Nagy is doing a really good job of maintaining the lead over Charest. As I say that, Charest retakes it again. It's almost as if they had a conversation ahead of time to say, why don't you take 30 meters, I'll take 30 meters. I'm sure that hasn't happened, but this lead change is keeping the pace honest, but also maybe expending a little more energy than they need to be at this point in the race.
Now, if you're Nagy here, you were sort of pushed up against the fencing there, and especially coming around that corner, but she was able to avoid any calamity there. Now she's pulled ahead, but is that a spot that you'd want to try and avoid getting yourself into again?
Well, for sure, and that's why this is curious, given that it's only 2 competitors. You have lots of room, and I don't think that anyone's trying to intentionally impede the other. But yes, avoiding those sort of tight turns, avoiding being pressed up against that fencing is something that surely the athletes would have spoken with their coaches about leading in. I think Nagy looks really good at this point. I think that she's just trying to keep herself out of trouble. My coach used to say to me, if it's just between you and one other runner, you may as well be in the lead because you can sort of dictate how everything plays out. You can feel the competition beside you. You can work with the energy of the runner that's, working well with you, but you get to be in control. And that's what we're seeing here. And as I say that, Nagy is extending that lead now. It's difficult with this sort of foreshortened perspective from the lead, but several meters she's put on just in the last couple of minutes of running. And this is where I said this forested section is where you want to take advantage of that. If you have the energy to put in a bit of a surge, this is the place to do it.
Nagy looking for some more OFSAA gold in 2024. She was the 3,000 meter champion on the track back in June. Also picked up a silver at that event in the 1,500 meters. Does Charest have anything left in the tank to counter?
Well, I've always thought that when an athlete is in second or third and trying to hold on to the lead, but that second or third place athlete is looking behind them frequently, that's usually a sign that they're fatiguing a bit and their focus is no longer solely on the back of the person in front of them, but also what's going on behind me. So we did see a few shoulder checks there by Charest. And again, as Nagy rounds these turns, you can see that that lead is just increasing with every stride. The turnover's a little quicker by our leader, Nagy. She's looking really controlled still. 17 and a half minutes into this race. It's not over yet, but she is definitely looking like the more relaxed, composed athlete from my perspective at this point.
6-second lead at the 4.9K mark for Nagy. And she is getting ready to enter the home stretch. Nagy, the silver medalist in the novice race a year ago. But she's got her sights set this year on the top of the podium. Charest trying to make a late charge, but it's too little too late. Kate Nagy from Newmarket High School takes the junior girls title here at the 2024 OFSAA Cross Country Championships. Charest crosses for the silver. And is that Downey who was leading this race early on? And she will cross for the bronze medal. Rebecca Prebaz crosses for fourth.
Well, Prebaz, last year's novice girls winner, so we've seen a shift in the podium here. As you mentioned, Nagy taking her first cross-country title, Charest improving, I should say, her place from 5th to 2nd. Downey moving up in the ranks as well. Nice improvement for her. 17th last year, comes across for the 3rd place finish, and then Prebaz, last year's winner, taking 4th.
Alexis Elkins across for 5th. And it is Grace Malcolm for 6th. Anu Chan crosses in 7th. And Ella Garon comes across in 8th. Battle on for 9th right now between Bridget Malcolm and Micah Carswell. So Malcolm just edges out Carswell. So that will round out the top 10.
And a great dive there by Carswell. I hope she's okay. She's back on her feet, which is great. She was last year's bronze medalist in this event as a novice, and you can see why, because she fought all the way to that finish line. And of course, it's your torso that crosses first in terms of determining finishing place. But she just got across there as the hordes continue to stream through. And of course, Adam will keep an eye on those team standings as well as they continue to populate.
Waves of runners coming in now. A couple of teams already have a pair of athletes across the line. Now Maximilian Colby out of Aurora, up to 3 athletes across.
Well, Terrio out of Timmins also up there in the team standings as, again, the results continue populating. They did really well last year as well. So Terrio actually won the team title last year as novices. And of course, many of those athletes returning. So not surprising to see them doing well so far in those team standings. And in fact, it was Maximilian Colby taking 2nd place last year as a team behind Terrio.
Superior Collegiate in Thunder Bay has 4 athletes across, but they will still tabulate all the places. Have to confirm in a lot of these cases because so many of these athletes cross the line so close to each other. Ontario now has 4 athletes across the line. So the early tabulations have Thunder Bay's Superior Collegiate with the team lead with 228 points, but getting some movement now, and it's Maximilian Colby who has jumped up into first place with 189 points, leading the way for them. The 6th place finish of Grace Malcolm.
Well, Adam, we should remind our viewers that if you're just tuning in the novice girls race, there were 8 points separating first from third in the team division. So every single place counts here. I remember that well from my OFSAA cross country and then moving on to the NCAA cross country days. That team element, obviously, as important and in some cases more important than the individual results for these runners.
Well, as you mentioned, Kate, it was Maximilian Colby's team finishing second in the team event in the novice race last year. They were led in 2023 by the 4th place finish of Grace Malcolm and the 6th place finish of Bridget Malcolm. And Grace Malcolm finishing 6th this year and Bridget in 9th. So they're leading the charge again for the Aurora-based Maximilian Colby team. Right now they're at 189 points. Superior Collegiate out of Thunder Bay right now with 228. Their top finisher was Britton Vander Vegte, 29th place. So the team from Ontario in Timmins, they were the novice team champion last year. Right now they're in 3rd place. Kiana Charest, the 2nd place finisher, their top finisher. They've got 235 points.
meet you on the other side by the runway of the javelin. No, they shouldn't. They got it, yeah. They got it. Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey Heidi, are you her mom? No, I'm her mom.
So with most of the results in now, it does appear as though Maximilian Colby has taken the team title at 189 points. Superior in second, Ontario in third. So those three teams all performing well last year in the novice girls race, repeating excellent performances here in the junior girls division as well. Another strong contingent of runners coming across the line now. Again, good battles right to that line. So we're seeing Maddie Singh, Zoe Watson, and Hannah Abtahi coming through. The York School working well together. A more decisive finish on the team side than we've seen with our novice races thus far.
Are you trying to get out? Oh. Okay, you're supposed to go the other way. Tim! Tim! You're not working the gate here?
Maddie!
Good job! Good job! Strong stand! Way to go! Keep walking, keep walking. Good job. Okay, girls, you gotta go this way. No, sorry, didn't mean to do that. You got right in front of me. Good job! Yeah, there you go. Stand right there. Don't move.
I'd like to draw your attention to coaches that are on hand. For many of you guys are much younger than this guy. This guy, you may not know, but you may know this So, we have in our list Karen and John Cobb. They are the grandparents of Nature Cobb, who is racing with the junior team. They're representing Maryville High School. John and his parents, they were in North Bay, they got born in North Bay. John coached cross country and track for years at a school called OFSAA Secondary School. He was a legend. He coached among others Rosalind Cassidy, who went on to run for Illinois State University, as well as in Sabina Horn, in Georgia, and two-time Olympian Taylor Mills. John also competed in OFSAA cross country, so he uses it kind of weather for sure. So we can definitely welcome John's track cross country legend coaches to the 2024 OFSAA Championship.
Well, I was waiting for that girl to finish, but then Kurt went and got it. And then he tossed it. Shoot. I didn't hear that.
Team from Maximilian Colby in Aurora takes the championship in the junior girls race. They're led by Grace Malcolm's 6th place finish. Bridget Malcolm also finishing in the top 10, 9th place finish. Kira Marley in 38th and Fiona Marley in 137th.
Well, Adam, a nice improvement for that team. Second last year as novice with 217. They are 189 points this year, and nice improvements across the board for each of those 4 runners.
In second place, the team from Superior Collegiate Vocational Institute up in Thunder Bay. Leading the way for them, Britton Vandervegte with a 29th place finish. Olivia Vinette, 40th. Sammy Sadao, 76th. And Grace Lee, 85th.
And this is one of the tighter quartets that we've seen. 29 to 85 is a lot of depth on that team. So we should be looking forward, Adam, to them next year, both in the junior and senior divisions of the OFSAA Cross Country Championships.
228 points for Superior, and they beat the third place team from Terrio up in Timmins by 7. They finished with 235 points. Kiana Charest, the second place finisher, their top finisher. Isabel Rivard, 41st. Maya Kinsella, 89th. And Sydney Picard, 105th.
And that means that we saw a shift in the podium, both in terms of the overall winner and the team winner. Terrio, last year's champions, taking third this year, still on the podium. And again, kudos to all those coaches continuing to develop athletes well throughout the entirety of their high school careers. Well, as we mentioned, Adam, lots of throwdowns and showdowns between former OFSAA medalists in the novice division. It was Downey off to an early lead, but then Shareya Nagy made it a 2-woman show as Nagy claimed top marks towards the finish, pulling away and claiming her first OFSAA title, I should say, in the junior division.
We'll step aside for a short break. The junior boys race coming up at 1:15.
Save the date, mark your calendar. Wednesday, December 18th, it's the presentation of the Bowerman, the winners of college track and field's highest honor